Hello interwebs, how are you doing? I am doing well. I know it's super dark in here. I don't have like my studio lights on, and I also think one of my light bulbs blew, but that's okay. I feel like we can all see each other just fine. I wanted to vlog because that's what I do. First and foremost, I got a new car. It's a used car. It's like one of those, I got a new car, but it's actually a used car. So my car, as you guys probably know, because I've had it the entire time that I've been on YouTube, was a 2004 Honda Civic Si. It was a 5-speed manual, and it was a very cute car, and I liked it a lot. I've had it since I was like 19. I've had that car for like 9 going on 10 years, and I paid it off like 5 years ago, but even it had a lot of miles when I bought it. It had like, I want to say like 99,000 miles on it when I bought it, like just under 100. And you know, it was a Honda, so everybody was like, oh, it'll last forever, which in its defense, it will. I really want to believe that somebody else is going to get that car and they're going to drive it for another 50 or 100,000 miles, because Hondas really do last forever. But as cars get more and more wear and tear on them, particularly when you live in upstate New York where there's snow and salt and stuff, just kind of one thing after another has been replaced, and I've put far more money into that car than it is worth. Like last summer, I did the air conditioning in it. It was like $1,800. I mean, you obviously have to do like brakes and rotors every, I don't know, year. Is that right? I do them whenever the mechanic tells me to do them. New tires and stuff. Obviously, you have that kind of stuff. But then, like, because my car was a manual, that means every so often you have to replace the clutch. So in the life of that car, I've had to replace the clutch twice. Yeah. So it's just kind of been just random, very expensive journeys. And recently it was making this really loud noise when I drove. I think there was a hole in the muffler. Very new thing in the last like week that I had it. It was very noisy when you drove it. And it's always been missing a piece of weather stripping in one of the windows. So it's always been a pretty noisy car in general. Well, as of about a year after I bought it. But lately it's just been like, oh my God, like one stupid thing after another. Like, I don't know if you guys remember last summer my car like overheated at Chipotle, so I had it towed. To a mechanic, and they couldn't figure out why. They were like, oh, it's fine now. And I'm like, what do you mean it's fine now? Because it wasn't fine a moment ago. And so it's just kind of had like old car issues, like a lot of miles. I want to say, I thought Nick told me it had like 240,000 miles on it. And I was like, that can't be right. There's no way I've put 140,000 miles on that car. And for the record, I did check before I sold it or traded it in, and it only had 160,000 miles on it. So in 9 years, almost 10 years of having it, I only put 60,000 miles on it. And I took really good care of it as far as like oil changes on time, tires when it needed it, brakes when it needed it, rotors when it needed it. I'm pretty sure I replaced the ball joints once. I was pretty good about maintaining it in a way to make it last as long as possible, but the last straw, so I had to go to this ADHD doctor, which I haven't even told you guys yet. I'm going to in a minute, but I had to go to my ADHD doctor, and when I walked out from the doctor's office to my car, the window was down, and I never drive with the windows down. I have fun hair, like, I don't do that, and I just paid $1,800 for the air conditioner to get fixed, so why would I drive with the windows down? So the window was down, and I was like, oh God, someone broke into my car. And then in my mind, I was like, why would anybody do that ever? So I inspect the situation, and the window fell off of the brackets that were holding it up and down into the door. And that's where it was. And Nick tried to get it out, couldn't get it out. And we called the mechanic, and we're like, all right, well, we need to have the exhaust system looked at, and we need to have the window removed from the door, and, you know, the oil is due to be changed, which, hilarious story. They say every 3,000 miles or 3 months. I had driven 277 miles in the past 3 months. Like, it was due for an oil change based on time, but, like, that's how little I actually drive. So, I don't know. We were looking at, altogether, it was probably going to be another, like, at least $1,000, because it's like anytime you take your car to the shop, it's like $1,000. Like, it's ridiculous. So Nick just says, I don't know where, he's like, I think you should get a new car. Now, mind you, I've never considered getting a new car. I always thought I would drive my Civic until I had to push it home. You know, I never thought I was going to get rid of that car until I like had to. And, you know, at first I was like, no, it's okay. I don't need a new car. And then he was like, you should get a Volkswagen Beetle. And my response to that was, Don't say things that you can't take back. Because I've wanted a Volkswagen Beetle since I was 11 years old. That was when the new Beetles came out, when, the slogan was, a car this cool only comes around twice in a lifetime. And my stepfather actually was a car salesman. Like, my mom's husband is a car salesman. So, like, I really liked cars when I was, like, a young kid because I thought they were cool and I, like, knew a lot about them. And he worked at a higher-end dealership at the time when the new Volkswagen Beetle came out. He was working at a Jaguar dealership, but they sold, Jaguars are, like, English cars, so they sold a lot of, like, BMWs and, like, German engineering cars, so, like, Volkswagens and Mercedes. And so it was a very high-end car dealership, and I used to think the VW Bug was the coolest car because it is. It is. I don't care what anybody says. So anyways... So, I kind of look online and they're like in my price range because I'm not looking at a new one. I'm looking at a used one. They're like in my price range and I see 3 that I really like. There was a 2014 white turbo manual that had like 38,000 miles on it. Then there was a 2016 that was blue turbo, but it was the Tiptronic. That's what it's called. Yeah, Tiptronic. And that one had like 32,000 miles on it, but it was a 2016. And it was all in the same price range. And then there was one more that I really liked that was silver. And it was a 2012, but it only had 12,000 miles on it. And I really liked it because it was like the higher end, like luxury model. So it had leather heated seats. It had like the panoramic sunroof. It had like the wheels that were modeled after the Beetles from like the 40s. And the newer versions of the Beetles, the ones that came out in 2012, are like, they almost look kind of like a PT Cruiser. They obviously still have that very iconic Beetle look, but they're a little longer, they're a little lower, and they're a little more, I don't know, it just looks like I love it so much. So TLDR, I got the silver one, and it's the greatest thing. And like, it has so many cool features that, okay, so my car, like, my old car, my Civic, like, didn't even have, like, digital anything. Like, that car, it was, like, on the cusp of when cars became, like, digitized, and it wasn't. So, like, it's so crazy because if I have, like, so it has, like, keyless entry. So if the doors are locked and you have, like, the keys in your pocket, the doors automatically unlock. And then when you sit down in the car, there's a button to start it. Like, as long as you have the keys in the vicinity of the car, you do not actually need the keys to start the car. You just push a button, which I thought was super cool. It's got like 6 glove boxes. I'm exaggerating. It has 3 glove boxes because that's necessary and awesome. Am I right? And I just love it so much. It's the cutest car. And I got the slapstick model, the Tiptronic, that if you want to shift it, you can, but it's automatic. And I've been driving a manual car for almost 10 years. So it feels like a huge luxury to not have to like roll back when you get to a hill. But I really, really like it. I got it on Saturday. I got it on Saturday. And it's the cutest car. And I feel like if you told someone like, oh, Danielle drives a Beetle, they'd be like, of course she does. Of course she does. And like, I don't know, I just thought it was really sweet of Nick to like even say that because he knows I've wanted that car since I was like 11. But then like, he also thinks they're horribly ugly cars. Like, he doesn't like them at all. Oh my God. And side note, so how about in the glove box of my car, there was a Volkswagen Beetle flip book. How cool is that? It's so cool. I don't know why that was there, but I thought it was so cool. Anyways, so I got a new car, and that's exciting thing number 1. Exciting thing number 2 is not so exciting. I went to a formal, oh my God, we're already at 10 minutes. Holy crap, this vlog's gonna be so long. I went to formal testing for ADHD for like to get a diagnosis. I guess I don't technically know what my diagnosis is until the 21st, but true and hilarious story. The doctor wrote down likely ADHD within the first 2 minutes of having a conversation with me on the front of my folder. It was actually horrible. But also cool, if that makes any sense, because they were tests to basically trigger you not being able to focus. Like, so they had like one test that was, he put on a cassette tape and you had to listen to it. And there was a guy talking, but he was in like a gymnasium or a mall or something. And the background noise just increased and increased and increased. And like, it got to a point where I like was just like, well, I think there's someone talking, but I don't know. But like, I'm pretty sure that was earlier than most people. I don't do well like deciphering. So, like if two people are talking at once, I need one of them to shut up, because it's not just like I can't pay attention. It's frustrating for me to hear multiple things at once. Like that's why everybody's always like, why do you turn off game sounds in games? Like I turn off up because it's distracting. I can't like listen to music and sounds and, you know, whatever's going on in my house. It's like too much and it gives me like anxiety. It's not just, oh, I'm distracted. It actually makes me mad. It makes me mad. I can't even like describe it. So like he did that test. Then he did another one where he would say like words and numbers all mixed up. So he'd be like dog 7, cat 4, bird 3. And then he'd be like, okay, now say all the words and all the numbers back to me, but say the words first and the numbers second. I'm terrible with names and numbers. Like I'm so bad with those things. Like if I don't write down a date, my brain will just make up the date. Like I have confidently gone to things at the wrong time before. Like multiple times. I have confidently showed up to things 2 hours early because I didn't write it down and they said 2 and I was like, oh, 12. Got it. So I didn't do well on that one. And then there was another one where he told like short stories like, Carlos is a photographer for National Geographic, and he graduated from Berkeley School of Music in 1977. And when he graduated, he took a trip to Kenya, where he photographed lions and tigers and wildebeests. And one time he got charged by a rhinoceros when he was going 35 miles per hour in his Jeep. And then they'd be like, what's the guy's name? I don't know. I have no clue. Or like how fast was he going in the car? Or like what 3 animals did he encounter? Which animal charged him? Where did he go to school? Like I got the gist of the story. I didn't get the details. I did really well on all the written stuff, or I felt like I did really well on all the written stuff, but I did horrible on like the auditory listening stuff. And it was funny because the doctor like repeatedly complimented me. He was like, you're so intelligent. Like you're so smart that, you know, you were able to like develop coping mechanisms for the fact that you can't concentrate on anything because your brain is going in 20 miles different directions at once. So like when it came to the written stuff, like I've developed a lot of coping mechanisms for the fact that I do have trouble concentrating so that I can still get work done, because getting good grades to me was always extremely important and extremely motivating for me in school. Same thing with kind of like getting my work done. Like it's not horrible. Like I can generally get my work done because I'm like, I know I'm supposed to. I'm like motivated because I want to be a good kid. But like socially, I struggle really hard. Like when people talk to me, I have a really hard time just listening. Like I can't, if I'm actively listening, I'm talking. So if somebody's like saying something to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I like that too. Yeah, this one time this happened to me that's relevant to what you're talking about. Has that ever happened to you? Like it needs to be a back and forth. Like I cannot just listen. And I get called out on it constantly. Like in my podcast with Cheeb, in my podcast with Perk, like people will constantly be like, oh my God, Panzer's so rude. She interrupts everybody. I don't mean to. It's not like if I'm interrupting someone, it actually means I'm listening. If I'm not interrupting, if you just hear me like, I'm not listening. I can't. It's like, I can't. I want to, but it's so hard for me to like listen to things. Same thing with like, when we do raids in World of Warcraft, it's really, really difficult for me to study for raids, to get ready for fights. Like I do the best I can, and the best way I know how is to read and take notes. I can't listen and take notes because that's I'll just start like doodling. But the best thing that I can do is like, and that's what I always did in school too, is like when I would study, I would rewrite and reorganize the notes that I took in class or the notes that I took while doing book stuff, you know? Because if I'm not actively doing something, I guess I could probably listen to raid guides. It's just generally hard because it's usually like monotone people who do them. Sorry, fat boss. I don't know. It's a real problem. And like he said, you know, it's clear that you've developed coping mechanisms for like work and school type things, but it's also obvious that you really, really, really struggle to like listen to anything. And it was like oddly, like even though I haven't gone back, I go on the 21st to get my like formal like report on what he found, like it was comforting to know that, like, I'm not just a rude asshole. Like, I genuinely try. Like, I guess I can't even wrap my mind around people that can just be good listeners, because I'm not a very good listener. And I want to be, but it, like, I just tune out. I don't mean to. I just can't. It's so hard. So that happened. I have my 6-month eye doctor appointment like this week. I should have written that down. I gotta call them because I don't actually know when that is. But LASIK is going very, very well. I'm at the point now where I think I'm ready to actually make a video about the whole experience, because I took a little longer to heal than a normal person my age, and that's because I had a very, very heavy prescription. I had a multiple astigmatism, and it was, I feel like, a rougher surgery and a rougher healing period than most people had. That's not to say, I mean, I could see in 2 days, but I saw blurry for a long time because I had a very dry patch on my eye that was covering, like, it depends on where the dry spots are on your eye, right? Like, mine was front and center, so it was, like, actually obstructing my vision. And then on top of it, I'm looking at the computer a lot. When you look at the computer, you're not blinking as much as you should be. And I actually noticed a big difference in the healing of my eyes when I started walking Tychus, because at the same time that I started walking Tychus, I started tracking how much water I was drinking, and wow, I think I was kind of dehydrated all the time, because when I started consistently drinking 3-4 bottles of water a day, my eyes were just less dry anyways, and I got some better eye drops, and now, like, it's definitely been over an hour since the last time I put eye drops in. I put eye drops in no more than once an hour, even when I'm playing games. And if I am putting them more often, I know it's because I'm dehydrated. I'll go drink some water, or, you know, I'll try to make sure that whatever I eat for the rest of the night isn't, like, salty. So I feel like I'm at the point now where I'm really comfortable with my eyesight, and it feels very natural. I don't feel like I was for a little while having trouble sleeping because my eyes would get dry at night. Like, so dry that it would wake me up. So that was unfortunate, but around the time that was really impacting me was when I started to drink more water, and that's made a world of difference. Not just for my eyes, but for my skin as well, even though right now we're approaching eczema season. Not looking forward to that. Like, this is the worst time of year for me, like April, May, June. Oh, so bad. I just get, like, horrible eczema on my arms and my hands, and sometimes even, like, my face, like my chin area. And I'm on different soap and different lotions, and it's felt like it's been working really good, but it also hasn't been peak eczema season. So we'll see. Hopefully the combination of drinking more water and then, like, I switched to these soaps called Bend soap. I bought some Lush soap recently, but I don't think I like it as much as Bend. And then I'm using First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream, if you're curious. It's supposed to be really good for, like, eczema and psoriasis and stuff. I bought it as a facial moisturizer. Oh my God, it's the most amazing facial moisturizer I've ever worked. And if you happen to buy it and you use it for a week and you hate it, give it another week, because that's how I felt. My skin was actually so dry that it had, like, it wasn't absorbing the lotion. Like, it still felt dry after I put the lotion on, because the lotion is, like, so thick, and it wasn't, like, getting in there. But after about a week of using that cream on my face, it's been, like, night and day. As far as, like, I used to put on makeup and it would get, like caked in. Oh, it was nasty. It didn't look good at all. What else happened in my life? I think that's it. I think that's all the things. Tychus starts his obedience classes in, like, a week, and it's so bad. He does not know how to heal at all. I think he's supposed to know how to heal for advanced class, and he's not there yet. We're working on it. It's just really hard. So I've got my St. Jude video is coming up this week. I was going to make it today, but things happen. I think that's it. So anyways, I just want to make a vlog because I haven't made one in a while. I hope that you guys are all doing well. I love you all. You're in my hearts. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.